Rick Rennell's with us. He's at CPAC. But, Rick, we've been talking about this bank cancellation issue. We've talked about cancellation culture. But, Don Jr.'s business bank accounts gets closed by PNC Bank. This is a large bank. Pittsburgh National Corporation is what it used to be known at. This is a national bank. And they don't like him. They're not saying there was illegal activity in the account. They're not saying there was irregularities. We just don't like him. So we're going to cancel the bank account. So we've talked about cancel culture, but when you start canceling your checking account, that gets pretty serious.
Look, this whole thing is called debanking, getting debanked, and it's a very real thing. Not only did Don Jr.'s media company called MXM, which is a great media company to have news information sent to you, not only is it a great idea, but it is absolutely legal. And one of the problems that we have is that banks are deciding to be woke, and they're trying to say, we don't like what you're doing. If we don't believe in your political bent, then we will debank you and we will cancel you. Now, look, this is a very real thing for anyone who's working in the Second Amendment industry. Ammunition, guns, they get debanked all of the time. And I think it's high time that Congress haul these people in front of them and ask them some tough questions, some tough legal questions about political persecution, about not being able to have freedom of thought in America, because when you exercise your right to do something legally or to say something that might be controversial from what the Washington types want, to all of a sudden find yourself without a bank. That's un-American. That's scary.
I'm going to take a call, Rick. Daryl's calling from Toronto on line 1, Toronto, Canada. Daryl, welcome to the broadcast. You're on the air.
Thank you for taking my call. I'm really excited to hear about the bank, this Glory Bank, and I'm certainly going to be checking into that. My question is in reference to I have dual accounts, U.S. and Canadian, and wanted to know if there's something for the Canadian side that the Glory Bank will be able to do. Or how would that work?
Harry Hutchinson actually has the answer to that.
Well, Daryl, the good news is you can open an account. I used to have accounts in Canada. My wife, who's Canadian, still has accounts in Canada and the United States. You will face the possibility of regulations from the Canadian government down the road, but so far as I understand it, from a U.S. law standpoint, you can open an account.
Rick, no one would have thought the cancel culture would have reached the level of, we've talked about the whole weaponization of the FBI, the Department of Justice. It's been on what they're doing to pro-lifers. I made a big point of this case involving the pro-lifer that was charged with the Free Access to Clinic Entrances Act, gets indicted, hauled off by, 18 FBI agents, indicted by a federal grand jury, subject to a criminal trial in Pennsylvania for, could go to jail for 12 or 13 years, and is acquitted in 1 hour. And Merrick Garland goes, well, we just were listening to what our field offices did. So this whole cancel culture, weaponization of the agencies, this is what Americans are being really faced with right now. It's a fundamental threat to our freedom.
Look, I have to be honest with you. It's one of the reasons why I joined ACLJ is because we actually fight back with legal strategies, with congressional strategies, with international strategies. We're not just sitting back and complaining. We're actually going and getting results. And this is what we have to expect of organizations and our politicians. I'm tired of having politicians that talk about these issues during the campaign. Then they get to Washington and they don't do anything. We have the House of Representatives is controlled by Republicans. They need to start hauling these people before the committees and holding them to account. They are weaponizing their power in government and in big corporations, and we can't just sit back and complain. We got to fight back. Organizations and politicians that can make a difference.
You're absolutely right. Andy, I was thinking about this. The weaponization of an agency, and then we're talking about the FBI, Department of Justice, FDIC, could be whatever agency or entity, because there's federal agencies and federal entities. In our lifetime has gone from an occasional rogue actor to an entire enterprise that is targeting people that they disagree with.
Well, that's exactly right. The government has decided to go into the business of persecuting people because of their religious beliefs, because of their constitutional beliefs, because of their political beliefs, because of their free speech, by taking the agencies of government, whatever those may be, the federal banking authorities, state banking authorities, the FBI, the Department of Justice, the Department of Transportation, any other agency, and we're basically saying we're going to mold you into our elite thinking, left woke idea, and we're going to do it by hook or crook. We're going to do it through the banks. If you don't do the things that we want you to do, you're not going to bank at our bank. Then they're going to say, well, we regulate insurance companies. We're going to cancel your insurance policies if you don't do it the right way. How about utility companies? We're going to cut your water, your electricity off if you don't do it. What about finance companies? Can you see anything that has any relationship to you that you don't conform with the way they want you to think? We're going to cancel you and cut you off.
I want to say this, Rick. The fact of the matter is, what Andy just set forth, it could be the insurance company, it could be the mortgage company, it could be the landlord, it could be the bank, it could be who knows what. We've reached a point in our culture where not only are government enterprises weaponized, but now the industry is to silence basically 50% of the American people.
Look, when Andy was speaking, he should have been able to see me waving my hand like I was at church. I was like literally saying, preach. I love it. This is exactly where we need to go. We cannot take this. I want to speak to our listeners. This is just me talking. But if you bank with PNC, you need to go in and tell them this is unacceptable and you're changing your bank. This is how we do it. We vote with our pocketbook. We're not going to take it anymore. Look what happened to Disney. Disney stock tanked the second that they were outed for all of their woke ways. And they're scrambling right now because their stock tanked. The American public said, I'm not taking this. We're not going to be buying your movies. They had to change course because of money, because we spoke with our pocketbook.
We appreciate it. Thanks, Rick, for being with us. Appreciate you calling in.